Welcome into SportsZone All Access here on this Monday, September the 15th. And boy, do we have a busy show for you today. We're talking three different sports, mainly football, because it was a busy weekend in football. But we have our first interview, as we will have the Lincoln football head coach, Jared Fredenburg, joining us in a little bit. We're also going to talk golf, baseball, and we're going to start with golf because, Ian, the Sanford International wrapped up for its 8th year. It was another great tournament out there. At this point, it's like a copy and paste thing, I feel like. Just the way that it's run, how well it's run. And now the new thing is, who's going to be the winner? And for the last 3 years, it was copy and paste, right? Steve Stricker won. And this year, he's on the injured list. He's out, and you see it there. Retief Goosen is the 2025 Sanford International champion. And he's just consistent the whole round. We set his name on the leaderboard all 3 days.
He didn't make any mistakes out there. It was a clean day. The weather got a little hairy there on the back nine for the leaders, and it looked like there was a potential for a stoppage, but they kept playing out there. They powered through. The players powered through. The weather broke up and was in their favor. And then you said it, Goosen was consistent the whole time, finished, I believe, 13 under for the tournament, and props to him, and we have a brand new champion. First time winning the Sanford International for Goosen.
And here's what he had to say after finishing on the 18th green.
It's great. I've come here every year since I turned 50, and it's been a wonderful event. We've been well looked after, and the sponsors and the crowd has been amazing. The food's good, I've been eating in a steakhouse every night, and I must say, I'm going to do that again tonight. The steaks has probably got me going this week.
Yeah, I think the steaks will taste pretty good this week for Retief, who finished 13 under for the tournament, 2 shots ahead of Bo Van Pelt. And congratulations to him. It was a consistent thing, and that's the thing with golf, right? You have to be consistent, because all it takes is the one time you're inconsistent, have a bad hole, things go south. He was consistent all weekend, and he gets to hoist that beautiful trophy right there with Andy North.
Ernie Els was the leader through 2 rounds, and it felt like he was the most consistent through those first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But then he took a step back in round 3, which opened the door for Van Pelt and Goosen to surge in front, and then it really became a 2-horse race down that back 9, but Goosen doing just enough to hold off Van Pelt.
And a congratulations to him. We'll have a full story with him and his championship victory coming up tonight. Well, let's talk about the Miles Wolf Cup Finals, and it's a unique name, but it's basically the championship finals for the American Association, and the Canaries are headed there, Ian. They played well, and, they started strong, finished strong in a win against Fargo Moorhead on Saturday night, and it's their first time since 2020, and that was the COVID-shortened year, so, maybe a little asterisk on getting to the finals that year, but they're looking to win their second ever title, first since 2008.
Hard to believe that it's been so long for the Canaries, and just think about, it seems like a whole 360 that they've done since then. They were one of the top teams, late O's, early 2010s, and then the bottom fell out, and about 5-10 years ago, it was looking pretty bleak if you were a Canaries fan.
Yeah.
And now the last 3 years, they've improved their win total each year, going to the playoffs. And this year, just a lot of fun. Talking with the Canaries before the finals, they were saying they just have a belief this year.
It's amazing. I've been here for 8 years, and I've been through the worst times, and now we're at the high, and hopefully we can win it and bring it back to Sioux Falls.
We celebrated last night. The job's not done yet, but it's not often that you get to play for a championship, so we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, you can hear the belief there, and new owner came in and did the right things. He put money into the field, put money into the team, and everything's going the right way, and that's what you hope when a new owner comes to town. And now the excitement begins tonight, right? They get to play Kane County, and best of 5, game 3 for sure in Sioux Falls on Thursday. If necessary, games 4 and 5. We'll see. A lot of excitement. Best of luck to the Canaries. We'll have coverage of that also tonight as well. Moving on to USD. I don't know if you heard about LJ Phillips this weekend, Ian. 301 yards rushing. You know, talk about a guy stepping up. Charles Pierre Jr. gets hurt. LJ Phillips says, I'll step up. I'll carry the Tide. 301 yards rushing from this guy, and they won it 24-17 in overtime over Northern Colorado. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, but hey, it was a win.
Grant, we talked about it last week when we talked about the Pierre Jr. injury, and we said this opens the door for someone else. And look at the day that Phillips Jr. had when he given that opportunity to be that number one running back for the Coyotes. He puts up a performance like that, and props to them for gutting out an overtime victory. The hearts might have been pounding a little bit too much for Travis Johansson and the rest of the coaching staff, but they got one in the win column, and that's all that matters.
I think anytime we win a football game, it's certainly a special. College football games are difficult to win, regardless of anything. They're a really talented football team, much improved. We saw that and knew that off the Colorado State tape.
Yeah, and there is some credit to be given to Northern Colorado. USD wasn't perfect, right? And they weren't, but they found a way to win, and that at the end of the day is all that needs to be said. The thing that's interesting to me, LJ Phillips, 301 yards rushing, 17 yards receiving. That's 318 yards. The team had 336 total yards. So he had all but 18 total. So there's some things to fix there, but a win was absolutely needed. You could not start 0-3 and have playoff expectations in the Missouri Valley.
No, and no shame in losing that Iowa State game. The real tough one for the Yotes was the Lamar loss. Getting up 10-0 and then being outscored 20-3 the rest of the way. And they battled back. They found a way. They dug down deep and picked up the win.
Needed it. Now they're 1-2, and they got Drake coming to town, which that'll be an interesting one because Drake just gave a little bit of battle to SDSU. SDSU now 3-0 on the season after a 37-21 win. And the interesting thing is they dominated a lot of aspects of this game and only came away with a 16-point win. Many people thought it might be more, and there's a little bit of work to be done, and SDSU talked about that after the game.
Their offense did a lot of things, and they were well prepared. But yeah, I mean, certainly every game to this point, I would have wanted to play better and win by more.
I don't get to pick when the bye week is, but I think it's probably a very good time for it to happen because I do think we need to go back, watch film, and really practice in individual work.
So now they hit the bye week, as you heard there. And it's interesting, at this point, I think SDSU is just expected to blow out teams that are lower caliber like Drake. And when they didn't, there was a little bit of, well, that was unique. But either way, it's a good win for them. And it was one where they did control it wire to wire.
Well, you think about the last time that they played Drake up in the Twin Cities, Drake marches down, scores the opening touchdown, and then SDSU hangs 70 on them.
Right.
On Saturday, Drake went down, scored on its opening drive, went up 7-0, and I'm sure every Jacks fan was thinking, okay, now time to drop 70,
right?
And that didn't happen. So credit to Drake for hanging in the game, but as you said, even though it was only a 16-point win, SDSU did feel like it was in control almost the entire game.
And that's the thing, like the Sac State game was close too, but like they were in control pretty much the whole game. So that's something to keep in mind. It's still a good win for SDSU, who is now 3-0. Well, we're going to talk with Coach Jared Fredenburg. He's going to take Ian's seat. We're going to have a good conversation with him when we return to SportsZone All Access. And welcome back to SportsZone All Access here on this Monday, the 15th. And we have a special guest joining us. It's actually our first interview in person. And joining us today is Lincoln head coach Jared Fredenburg. And Coach, first of all, thanks for taking the time to come down and talk about your football team.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
It's and there's a lot to talk about for the Patriots right now. It seems like things are going well. Obviously, off to a 3-0 start and playing some good football. It seems.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get a bunch of good kids, and I think we've assembled a really good coaching staff, and just
trying to keep things going.
No doubt about it. And as we look into some of the video here, had a nice win over Roosevelt the other day, a 55-7 victory there. How did that kind of feel? Obviously, to come out and have the fast start that you guys did too seems to really be helping right now.
Yeah, when the offense is clicking, our offense really starts with our quarterback, and he distributes the ball all over the place. A lot of different receivers. I was really happy that we got the running game going. Devontae Wilson, close to 150 yards on the ground, and he really did a nice job. It was a good coming out party for him.
And he's a guy that we knew that Roach and Schaefer and Akasi were coming back, but Wilson was a guy that I think you probably knew was going to have a good season, but we're waiting to see it.
Yeah, well, he was a JV running back for us last year, and so we'd put him in, sitting behind Josh Myers, who's now up at South Dakota State. So Devontae would come in with our second string offensive line, and he would rattle off. He'd have 5 carries for 115 yards in mop-up duty, in some of those games last year. And we just kind of looked at each other and go, man, this kid's going to be pretty good. So, it's nice to get him rolling and get some balance in the offense to where you can't, you can't just sit back and play coverage because, if you give us a light box, Devontae's going to have a nice night. And on the outside, we got a lot of threats. So it's kind of, hopefully every team, you coach, it's kind of a pick your poison. You don't want to be one-dimensional.
Certainly. And, your offense has been very strong this year. You've put up over 50 points in each game. And, but this is something we've talked a few times this year, Freddie, and you kind of saw this coming a little bit, obviously when you returned, the skill players that you did. Yeah.
Offensively, we knew we were going to be okay. We knew that our offense was going to put some points up. With Coach Struck leaving and now the head coach at Jefferson, we kept the new OC is a guy that we had on staff, and so everything stayed the same. Nothing was going to change, and so I guess the hope was nothing was going to skip a beat there on offense, and that we could just keep on rolling and put up points.
Certainly, and I mean you see that with some of the numbers. I mean 62, 50, and 55 through 3 weeks, and 56 points per game. I mean I knew you guys were gonna. Do you ever look at the numbers and kind of get wowed, or is it, how do you kind of approach that?
It's really early. We're going to, the first game against Stevens with a new coach, and, I think they're still figuring it out. This last one against Roosevelt, you guys saw, they have 38 guys on the sidelines. Yeah. They had 13 guys injured. And so I'm not sure if that's a real true test. I don't know if those guys are going to be the same as what they are at the end of the season. OG is a pretty quality squad.
Sure.
I was really happy with our offensive output in that game. And furthermore, really happy with our defense because OG puts you in some tight situations, on defense. They know how to coach that. And so I was really happy with the defense so far, actually. The offense, I think, is kind of on par with where I thought they would be. I think our defense is a little bit ahead of schedule.
Certainly, and I know we want to talk defense. We'll do that here in a second, but we got to talk about this guy, Brody Schaefer. He is just he's as electric as it comes, and we've talked about him obviously being the youngest of 3 brothers. This guy's been around the football field forever, and it kind of shows.
Yeah, he's just got a poise about him that you really don't see in a typical high school student, student athlete. He's super calm. He really understands the game, and in practice, it's like, yep, I got it. Yes, sir, no, sir. And he understands what you're talking about. He's a student of the game, and you really don't find that anymore, I think. I think these kids nowadays are kind of losing that a little bit. They're not going outside and playing in the sandlots anymore and all that stuff, and everything's electronic and video games, and Brody's kind of a throwback. I'm not going to lie to you. He's kind of, he plays everything. He has seen. I think he was born with the ball in his hand, and so he's just super comfortable in this situation. His teammates love him. He's a great leader. He's very unassuming, and when things go wrong, they actually do go wrong sometimes, and he's very accountable for his actions, and he's just the leader of our offense. I couldn't be more happy.
Certainly, and you kind of alluded to it a few moments ago when talking about Eric Struck, your former offensive coordinator now at Jefferson. Kind of I don't know if fun's the word, but it'll be intriguing a matchup this Friday when you guys for your homecoming get to take on Jefferson, who is also 3-0 and playing some pretty good football.
Yeah, Strucky's great. He'd been with us for a while and really, he changed our offense when he came in 19 and we just kind of sat down and I kind of wanted it a certain way. He wanted it a certain way. We met in the middle, and he really is the architect of what Lincoln football is offensively right now. So it'll be, I don't know if fun is the right word either. He knows how to coach that side of the ball, and he knows us, he knows our defense, and so there's going to be a situation where we're kind of familiar with each other, and so we'll just see how it pans out. Ultimately it's the kids on the field that are going to decide this.
And for you guys defensively, you lost all your starters from last year.
Yeah.
You're a lot. I don't know if younger is the word, but a lot less inexperienced, I should say, on that side of the ball. And they've so far they've done pretty well. And you said they're kind of ahead where you thought they might be at this point. And then you're going to really find out on Friday too.
Yeah, for sure. They're gonna put stress on you, for sure. I think they are a little ahead of where I had anticipated them being right now. They're super hungry for knowledge, and they're super hungry for being good. They've been great. Everybody on defense, man, they're just soaking it up. They're asking questions. There's no egos, and so they're just kind of all in it together, working together. I'm really happy with the way they're communicating with each other, and it's just it's really a cool locker room. They seem to like each other. They don't care who gets the credit. And when that can happen, if nobody cares who gets the credit, if you only care about winning, and putting a good product on the field, amazing what things can happen.
Last one I got for you, Freddie. Jefferson, tough team this week, and then you got Washington, Brandon Valley right behind it. We're really going to find out exactly where you guys sit on both sides of the ball here in the next several weeks.
Well, yeah, I guess I haven't. Is that what our schedule is?
That's your next three. Yeah.
Those are three pretty good ones. Jefferson right now is on the radar, and so haven't really looked past that. We have a week of homecoming, which has all of its own distractions, as every coach that's gone through it knows. And so we're going to really stay focused, and kind of the job of the football team for homecoming is to win the homecoming football game. And so we're going to try to stay on course with that, and it's really just overused coachism. You really have to concentrate on the here and now and be where your feet are, and just worry about going 1-0 every week.
Yeah, a lot of excitement for that game. That should be. Whenever and you got 1 versus 3, you got two undefeated teams. It'll be a fun one, and even if it's challenging for you, I think you'll have a little fun with that.
Oh, it'll be great. All these Metro games, man, it's just it's a grind. Any Metro team, they're good. I know that Roosevelt's down this year, but when you play a Metro game, it's higher intensity.
Yep.
That they're going to be well coached. That the kids are going to be up for it, and so it's a good time.
It is no doubt about it, and we'll have coverage of that game coming up on Friday night in our KELOLAND Sports Zone. But, Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, anytime, Grant. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one, Coach, and we'll be back with more SportsZone All Access. Well, it was good to catch up with Coach Fredenburg. We thank him for taking the time here. I think this is just the start of us getting some interviews in person here at the KELOLAND Plus desk, but we have a lot to get to. So let's dive right into it and talk about USF. Had a big win this weekend, Ian. 56-23. It is a 33-point rout of Bemidji State. Outgained them 521 to 307 and rushed for 248 yards. Just a dominant win from USF.
Utter domination. You said it right there. The Cougars looking really good after the emotional win over in-state rival Northern State last week. Who go on the road and get the job done in Bemidji.
Yeah, big-time win up in Bemidji. And for USF now 3-0 and looking the part. I think Northern State was a good win. I think Black Hills State was a good win. And Bemidji State is down this year, but they turn around and they beat the brakes off them, right? So an impressive win for USF, who's now 3-0. They're not the only team in the area that is off to a good start this season. And Augie was not off to a good start in this game. Got down 17-0, and as you see there on the graphic, scored 21 of the last 24 points, including a last-minute score to win the game by 1.
I kept following the score of this game while I was at the Sanford International on Saturday, and really couldn't believe. I'm like, really, Augie isn't doing anything. And then all of a sudden, I look and see a 21-20 final. Augie won, and oh, wow, okay. Where and when did that happen? And then looked it up later and saw the 2 late touchdowns to give them the win. And, hey, we talked about it with SDSU. A win is a win, and you'll take it.
Yeah, and there's things to learn from this, like every team, no doubt. But the biggest thing, you gotta win the football game at the end of the day, even if you go on the road and don't play very well. However, here's a team that wasn't on the road and did play really well. Northern State was at home. They outgained Wayne State 467 to 249. They threw for 328 yards and took it to the Wildcats in a 26-7 win.
Wolves looking really good and back up to 500 now, and really important for them to get that first win and build on that momentum.
Yeah, and then quickly, we don't have a ton of time, but we do have a little bit of time to talk about Mount Marty. This is a team that started up the program a few years ago again and have had some winless seasons, took some lumps. They just beat a ranked Northwestern team 24-14 the other day. Give props to the Lancers.
Yeah, really big win. That's a Northwestern program that's played for a couple national championships over the last couple of years. So if you can beat a program like that, you're doing something right.
Yeah, beat them at home, and is a big win. Just a huge win. Congratulations to Mount Marty. We mentioned that one. Tuesday's show is going to be a lot about high school football as we recap the last week. Tonight on KELOLAND Sports, you can expect a good story with Retief Goosen and some talk about the Canaries. But that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to a busy SportsZone All Access. See you back here Tuesday.